Welcome to the Art of Dress. Today I'm happy to share with you building a color profile for Ruby Fire coloring. So thank you so much for coming. Thank you for subscribing. In order to look at the color Ruby Fire, we have to thank Joan Smalls. And if you've been following along, you already know her very well from True Gammon and also Architectural Artistry. But she is also, as you already know, Ruby Fire. And so she is going to show us what her colors look like on her. Before we can understand coloring, I just want to take you back for a moment to the basic element color wheel that I introduced in the last video. This time, what I've done here is I'm showing you the 4 elements of color with their color qualities associated. Starting with Earth, you can see at the top right, grape, plum, and burgundy, and all of those colors are cool and intense and muted. And then moving clockwise, you have fire colors, and that's ruby, red, orange, and yellow. The fire colors are all warm and intense and clear. Moving around, now you have air colors. We have olive green, ochre green, and celadon green, and all the air colors are warm and light and muted. And lastly, we have the watercolors, the top left, and we have aqua blue, sky blue, and violet blue, and those colors are all cool and light and clear. So we're going to look at Ruby Fire, and I want to show you how we developed the color wheel for Ruby Fire out of this basic sort of overall color wheel, because this includes the prime color for every single human. And the way we can do that is by zeroing in on one particular aspect of the color wheel, and that is the planet of color. So there's a small change to this wheel. In addition to having the planets on the outside, I also put the complementary color for each color on the outside wheel of the wheel. So let me just talk for a second about complementary color before I move on to planet. If you look at Ruby, for example, and you go across the wheel, the complementary color for Ruby is Aqua. But because of the way this color wheel is done, the Aqua is shown as a watercolor because its true nature belongs to water. But the Aqua that Joan Smalls would wear as a Ruby Fire would not be light and clear and cool. It would be intense and clear and cool. So that version of Aqua, it's still Aqua, it's just the intense version, is the Aqua I put on the outside of Ruby Fire. So every case, what you're seeing is the prime color and its complementary color right next to it. But the color comes from across the wheel. And that's the definition of complementary, across the wheel, as far as color is concerned. Now let's look at the planetary symbol. So as you can see, Ruby Fire has the symbol for Jupiter. If you're looking for the other Jupiter and you go clockwise through all the warm colors, because the warm colors are all on the bottom. So you're going to see Jupiter, Saturn, Mercury, Mars, Venus, and Moon. So that's 6 planets, and it's all of the planets. So that tells you that Jupiter has a presence in the warm colors, and then it also is going to have a presence in the cool colors above the horizontal line. And that's true for every planet. There's always a warm color and a cool color. And that's very helpful because Joan and everyone else is going to wear some warm colors and some cool colors. And the colors that she wears as her element colors, meaning that they're both warm and cool, but besides that, they're going to be intense and clear. So her element colors are going to be Jupiter colors, the major color and the complementary in every case. So let's look at this in detail here. So this is exactly the same color wheel you just saw, but now it has only Jupiter and the colors that correspond to Jupiter. So we already talked about ruby having its complementary aqua. It comes from across the wheel, but I've shown it there in its intense version so you can understand what I'm talking about. So the second Jupiter color, if you look, is sky blue. So sky blue is, of course, a light color, and Joan, this is not her light color. This is one of her element colors. So if we follow sky blue across the wheel to red fire, we also find the complementary, red fire is the complementary to blue, and you also find the intense blue that Joan wears on the outside. So that's the complementary relationship, intense sky blue, and the complementary to that is intense orange red. So those are going to be the four element colors for Joan. Ruby, intense aqua, red orange, and intense sky blue. So now let's look at how they look on her. So here you have Joan in her intense, warm, clear ruby. That is her prime color. And you can see it is amazing. And also just notice, and this is going to be consistent through all of her colors, I just want you to notice what is happening to her skin. It's not looking more colorful. It's not looking warmer or cooler or anything like that. It's just looking clear. Clear and creamy, just so smooth. So that's going to be consistent, and you can notice that with every color. So ruby is her prime color, and her complementary color to ruby, intense aqua. And you can see, my goodness, stunning. It's breathtaking. And her third, red fire, red orange. In this case, it's veering over into the orange, whereas ruby is very tightly defined. There are not many variations of ruby. Red orange has a multitude of variations, and she can wear all of them. She is a study in red and blue. And then her complementary color to that, which is the other Jupiter color, which is intense sky blue. And again, it's like a revelation to see her in these colors. So now, these are the four element colors, and these are her intense colors. And it doesn't mean that she can wear only this version of them. She has a range. But I will have to show you that on the website. I cannot show you the range of colors here. I'm showing you the standard color that every ruby fire can wear. And now let me show you the light colors for ruby fire, because these four colors are all intense. And ruby fire, like everyone else, has a combination of intense and light. So let me show you where they come from first. So this is the same old color wheel that we were just looking at with the blocked out and with the Jupiter. But now what I want to draw your attention to is if you start from the prime color and you move one color counterclockwise, this is the light color, the alternate color. It doesn't matter if it's light or dark, but it's alternate for ruby. And ruby, so she's going to wear the burgundy, light burgundy though, and she's going to wear the complementary to light burgundy, which is celadon. Now celadon is already a light color. And so the complementary color to celadon, showing it as light, so this is exactly burgundy, but just showing it as light, is on the outside there. So you see celadon and you see light burgundy right next to it. So those are the two light colors for all ruby fire coloring. So let's look at the examples. So here is Joan Smalls wearing light burgundy. Actually, there are lighter versions of this, but this is the standard. And you can see that it is absolutely stunning. Every ruby fire can wear this color. And beautifully. And here is her celadon. Again, it's just exquisite with her skin. So finally, I want to show you her seventh color, which is like a wild card. You know how in a card game You can have a card that you pick that just, it like doesn't obey any of the rules. So that's what happens with style colors. And let me show you where style colors come from. This is the same element color wheel, only this time I have shown you the color of each style. Every style has a particular color. And so if we're looking for it, you can see through the earth colors, you have elaborate classic, elaborate gammon, refined dramatic. Those are the earth colors. And then the fire colors, elaborate natural, elaborate romantic, and refined classic. And now we come to true gammon. The style color for true gammon is olive green. Every true gammon style wears olive green. And Joan Smalls wears it a lot picks it out for herself because of her amazing sense of color. And here you can see what it looks like on her. And I'm sure she picks it out because she notices how great it is for her. So a style color is really spectacular on everyone. So now we have 7 personal colors, and we have a special ruby color wheel. The ruby color wheel, if you start from say 3-4 o'clock, you've got ruby, intense aqua, red fire, red orange, and intense sky blue. And going back, you have the alternate colors. You have pale burgundy. It's not really that pale, but burgundy is a very strong color. So light burgundy and light, it's always light, celadon. And then the style color, olive green. So any person that's in ruby fire would have 6 of these colors. And then the style color would be unique or individual, you could say, to that person. So this is a color wheel, a personal color wheel. It's like a rainbow because there are 7 colors, but it's a personal color wheel for ruby fire. Now, ruby fire also has certain neutrals attached. So let me show you where the neutrals come from. So here is our element color wheel. This time I moved the element colors, ruby, red, yellow, olive, all the way around to the outside. And on the inside, I put the neutrals. So if you go to ruby, you will see that ruby has one of the blacks, which is the most intense black. But there are 4 other categories of neutrals as well. The air styles wear a color of beige, one of 3. The water colorings wear the air colorings, not air styles. The air colorings wear a form of beige. The water colorings wear a form of white. And the earth colorings wear a form of navy. So ruby fire has a prime neutral, which is intense black, and then 2 other neutrals. Let me show you. So here's Joan wearing intense black, and you can see that it is remarkable on her. Just so beautiful. She's wearing it with red, and you can see how stunning it is with red. One of her reds, she has an unlimited number of reds. And here you see Joan wearing pure white. Now, black, true intense black was the most intense of the blacks, and intense white is the most intense of the whites. So she is the person, because she wears separates and she wears white and black. There's no better person on the planet, or no better combination, I could say, of style and color to wear black and white. Just fantastic. So she wore 2 of the most intense neutrals. She also wears one of the lightest ones. She wears the lightest air neutral. So this is the lightest version of beige, and this is bone. And she wears it so beautifully. So these are the 3 neutrals for every ruby fire coloring. So now let me show you what a ruby fire coloring wheel looks like, including the neutrals. So here you have the colors, the 7 colors on the inside. And again, if you were a different style, you would have a different style color, not olive green, but something else. And then you can see intense black, intense white, and the lightest of the beiges, which is bone. And this is the color wheel for ruby fire, a completed color wheel for ruby fire. So I have just one more thing I'd like to show you, and that is use of color. So use of color varies by element of color. So I'm just going to talk about fire colors today, and this is an amazing example of use of color for people who have fire coloring. And that is to use a combination of colors, a multicolor palette, you could call it. And here you see she has red and yellow and orange and even some blue. She has black in there. And but her primary neutral that she's using in this top is white. And you can see how completely stunning it is and how vibrant and glorious the whole combination is for her. And you'll also find that this applies to many other things as well. Decorating, choosing flowers, fire coloring. People are drawn to the mixed color bouquet of flowers. So coloring is something that doesn't just stay in your clothing, but moves out into your life. And the multicolor use of color for fire colorings is one way that it does that. So thank you so very much for sharing this with me today. It's really fun to tell you about it. And it's especially rewarding because people look so fantastic in these extra colors. And I just want to these extra special colors. And I just want to tell you one more time that these colors are the standards. There are variations that everybody has. So you have a whole range of colors working from standards to more cool or more warm, and working from standards to more muted or more clear, and also to more intense or lighter. And that depends on your style and your artistry. But since it's a standard, everyone can wear this version of these colors. And so this is the standard color wheel for Ruby Fire. So next week we're going to look at red, orange, red, and we'll find the person that has the prime color of orange red you already saw. And I'm looking forward to that. And thank you very much for coming and also for subscribing. And in the meantime, please try and stay safe and please take care. See you in a week.